From my humble beginnings as a tournament grinder, I've cemented my decision to take on the Dragon Ball Super Trading Card Game's greatest challenge, becoming champion. This is Snake Way, Road to Regionals. So I've been ahead of a slump, and I'm not too sure if it's the deck lists I'm running or if it's just the fact that I'm not really grasping how you're supposed to combat this format well, but it's giving me some trouble. So I've been running Surge Coup for the last couple of weeks now. Since the last update to Snake Way, that's been the primary deck I've been running. And that's mostly because I've been trying to make red-yellow control work for so long. I love Red's ability to control the board, but it always had a weakness in dealing with things with barrier or being flexible with dealing with skills. And adding the yellow in really makes that work. So when Surge Coup came out, it gave us the perfect leader to really try and encompass that strategy. However, I've been kind of struggling in closing in the win, and I think that's just because I'm being way too conservative with the way I'm doing things like playing the apes or utilizing my energy, because red-yellow is a very energy-intensive strategy. So I splash blue in it, and within doing that, it gives you a bit more flexibility, but obviously you're losing out points on plays that allow you to be more aggressive, or just general lines that probably lend itself more to being pushing earlier in the game instead of having to wait off and see between you and your opponent which ones can actually close out stronger. And like we're going to see in today's gameplay, it just hasn't been very tight for me for the past, I want to say, week. Since the release of it, I had a great time. Like, I've been destroying at it at locals. I've been consistently winning against great players, but I've been seeing that drop off. And maybe that's just my adaptability. And that's something we're really gonna have to fix, because soon Sets 9's coming out. And once that happens, that's a complete shift in the meta. But I do still think that Red-Yellow Surge Coup is gonna be a strong contender in there. Though we're gonna have to look at our different options, see what else we can tech in, and really make sure that we test. And that's because I will be going to Vegas. So I've planned it out with a couple of guys from my team at locals, and it seems we're going to make it work. We're going to try and attend the regional as well as the TOP, and hopefully that going well, hopefully compete in some top cuts on Sunday. So that's the goal. To getting us there, we need to practice some more. We're going to be playtesting throughout the week, really make sure that we have a good solid understanding of the format. And right before Vegas, the week before, we actually have ourselves a win a case tournament in a city a couple of hours away. So we'll be traveling for that, and hopefully the Ottawa Army will be able to take that down and steal all that prizing from the Montreal boys. With that said, let's hop on over to the deck list. See kind of the hybrid version that I've been playing with in terms of what topped at PBG Invitational, and we'll make our way from there. So let's check out the deck list.
So here we have Tricolor, like I was saying before, and that's really because you want to run Bean. Bean very specifically helps out with the fact that the deck wants to make a lot of plays on the opponent's turn, but is also very energy dependent. A lot of your things require very specific energy costs, and will often cost, 2. If you want to make multiple plays, you're looking at 3-4 energy. And unfortunately, red-yellow doesn't really have the chance to recover on that energy in the same way that a blue leader would, which makes it very difficult to try and play against your opponent's really elongated attack turn, or even apply constant pressure. So I really like the Bean inclusion. However, I have noticed that it obviously makes me slower and can make my aggro a little inconsistent. Some notable exclusions. I currently didn't have Broly Crown of Retribution as of using this. I think they just dropped in the mail today, so we're going to go pick those up. Same thing with things like a 4th Beerus. The 4th Raiders Warcry, I don't think I need it right now. I don't have a 4th one, but at the moment I think 3 is kind of where I want to be. Joey from Crossroads CCG even noted when he ran it that there are times that it gets clunky having a bunch of 10Ks that you just can't do anything with in your hand. And I have felt that pretty harshly when trying to go for games sometimes. At the same time, it could just be how I'm running it, but We're going to make some modifications because, like I said, with the beers, right now we only have 2 of the Vegetas, and that's going to be moved up to 3. I think that this deck is going to be making a better strive towards being able to compete against the meta. Gallic Cannon is there as just kind of a filler-upper. And at the same time, it actually puts in decent work against the Piccolo that uses the Zamasu package. I've been finding that players have been finding it very frustrating to deal with that. Going into the new meta, I doubt I'll main it, but I probably will side deck it. Combination attack is really just there to serve as a blue charge that also feeds us for red. I think this card sucks right now. In terms of our current meta, I don't think it hits anything all too relevant, besides really the baby matchup, I guess, because Heartfelt Please a 5-drop. But everything else, I find everything else has some form of protection or is just bigger than a 5-drop that I really care to actually bother to do this with. For now, though, it's just there, and we're going to make it work. Obviously, 4 of the Great Ape Son Goku, it's busted, lets you draw. And I think in terms of draft box, this is one of the staples that should be valued the most expensive, simply because when we're talking in the scope of Surge leaders where they just lose all card advantage the moment they flip, that leaves you opportunity to stay in the game, especially in the later parts of the game where you're most likely trying to eke out as much advantage as you can. The card is a house, and honestly, I've been splashing it in so many decks, it's kind of tough for me to find decks that I don't want to put him in. Other things to discuss is super combos. While this one isn't totally accurate, I just decided to leave it as is because it was easier to just add 4 of the shoes. But I added 2 Sparking and 2 Life super combos. I found that depending on the matchup, I was having to use a super combo was awkward based on the fact that I wouldn't get its effect. So right now it's a 2-2 split. With the multicolored super combos, I'm thinking about using a couple of those in the build instead. So especially when they help mitigate a rival. So we'll be shifting onto that once the set 9 comes out. And then the rest is just typical of what we've seen from other topping Surge Coup lists. I don't know. And part of it might be me. I think I'm just playing the matchups wrong. I think I'm too hung up on trying to play a control plan against my opponent when I have to notice that I'm not always the control deck. And sometimes you need to put pressure. So that's actually why these Beerus's are here. I didn't have these in before. Now they're just there to make sure that I can apply some 15k crit pressure. And it makes for an annoying card for my opponent to have to see pretty much at any point in the game, just because of how cheap he is to come out. I prefer him over the Trunks simply due to the fact that he has more likely chance of staying on board multiple turns. The Trunks obviously having the benefit that he helped me self-awaken, and that's definitely something that's lacking in my main board. If my opponent isn't attacking me, I'm not going to be able to have access to my skills when I want them. And that's definitely a change I should be looking into going into my main deck for the next set. So that's the gist of what we took over to locals. I did have best of 3s shot a couple of days ago. However, turns out my SD card was full. So that footage is like, I think I have 1 game's worth, so we're not going to be using that. However, I do have the benefit of having multiple locals within the week, and this one is going to be a quick best of 1s. We're going to go through the couple of games and get ourselves ready for the regional. So let's hop over to the gameplay. Round 1, we're up against Mike. And I'm actually just going to let me do the talking real quick. Oh, you're actually playing Janemba.
Yeah.
You're actually trash. And yeah, don't actually hate Janemba. I understand that a lot of people really don't like him, and he can be a frustrating thing to play against if you're not actually prepared to do so. But there are things we can do against it. So we end up going second, which is actually a theme this time. Like I said in previous videos, I do not win dice rolls. So my opening hand is a couple of Whis, a Cooler, a Bean, a Super Combo, and a Denial. I keep the Whis just because I figure if I want to be aggressive, I want to make sure that I have the perfect energy to do so. To that end, we probably should have kept Bean. That was my bad. Realizing that, blue is something we're going to want if we're going to want to keep pushing. On the mulligan, we get another Whis, a crit Beerus, and a rival Beerus. And a rival Beerus is actually super key in this matchup because if we constantly keep his leader rested, he's not really getting card advantage, and we're giving ourselves an extra turn, which is very important. So, as typical of Janemba, he doesn't really play much. He charges, passes. We charge a multi-swing, we pass. On his second turn, he mills a double strike on our end. That's pretty painful. It's one of our ways to really close out the game, especially if we're going in with a leader swing. So that's tough on us, but it's fine. We run 2 in the deck because we want to make sure that we see it. So we have perfect energy for the next couple of turns. So we charge up another Whis and we go. And we draw into Shrouded Mystery Fu, which is super key because it really turns off his entire deck. So if we can close out with him, that'd be fantastic. We go ahead and aggro with Beerus, which when we pass, he tries to kill on his turn. We just protect it with a 5k. And then we continue to aggro him on our turn. At this point is when we rival Beerus to keep his Janemba rested. Typically, typical to Janemba, he charges and passes. We charge Bean, and then we draw Route 2 with Ape. Now I recognize that it mills us some more, and it gets us closer to just losing. However, I feel like it's better off me making sure I can get gas to kill him with early than hopefully just top deck the answers that I need. I figure it's more important to try and just get him out of the way than let the inevitable happen. We go in with Crit Beerus and we give him double strike and combo up. Putting him at 2 life would be super key because we have a lot of double strikers in the deck that'd be able to close the game. He's able to protect his life, and then he stops our big Beerus swing with a Bojack Negate. From here, he just goes on, charges and swings, and we mill 2. On our turn, we go ahead and swing with the lead, and we combo away the Crit Beerus. It's not really what I wanted to do, but unfortunately I didn't have any red to make a rival work, and that's more important than just getting a 15k crit hit. So we combo away the Beerus, and we additionally combo an Ape. And then we rival into another Beerus. So there we go, we keep his leader rested for another turn. That one he takes, but he chompas my Ape as it comes in. He takes my other Beerus swing, putting himself at 2. And then he just protects himself from my last swing, staying at 2 life. So he swings and passes. And here we really only have 1 turn. And I have to ask myself, does he have the deadly poison? Realistically, I think one way or another, I don't really have another turn. And the only really other threat in my deck is an Ape. I don't think that's enough to really get him to where I need him to be. So I take the odd chance that he hasn't drawn into it. I know decks don't really run 4 of, so hopefully I can get there. We play the 6-drop. And unfortunately, he has the deadly poison. So that's pretty much a dead play for that turn. He Bojack blocks my stuff, and that's, he protects himself going into his turn. He charges, he passes, and then we swing with Beerus, to which he Bojack negates. At this point, I only have, I think, 2 cards left in deck. So I figure, well, if I'm going to lose the card anyway, I might as well draw the card instead and prevent a 5k combo. So we deadly poison it, drawing a card. But regardless, he has appropriate amount of negates to stop my last swing, and I just deck out. So that's a round 1 loss. Round 2, we go up against George, and he's on blue, green, splashing yellow. That said, though, George is really out of it for this tournament. So like we'll see in a minute. We keep a mediocre hand, nothing crazy. We end up charging SS4 and pass. Going into his turn 2, he forgets to charge. Doesn't really make a play. I think he swings with leader and then passes. And then once we point out that, like, hey, you missed a charge, which, to be honest, at this level of locals, I would have just let him take back regardless. But he scoops. And then he drops to go back home and chill with the wife. So, hey, can't hate on that. It's all good. I hope you feel better next week, buddy. But between rounds, then we ended up getting a round with Malcolm, who was sitting there with the bye for the second round of the tournament. So here's the baby matchup. I feel comfortable because the deck has access to Beerus, it has access to Exploding Weakness Vegeta, so a lot of options to control the board and kill off his threats. Beerus hits pretty much everything. My hand's not great, there's no multicolor, and due to having playing safe, I end up charging an Ape. Because, right, I want to make sure I keep my topos, I keep my negates, things that really help me protect myself when he's going for his kill turn. And he does his Dr. Mew into Graceful Charity thing. Oh, that is so good. So that's his turn. He swings with his leader. Doesn't really do much from there. He charges. So we charge Crit Beerus, and then we toss away our Shrouded on attack to draw some more cards, because I don't think I'm getting to 6 anyways. And when I do, I don't think that's the way I'd be choosing to win anyhow. On turn 2, he arrivals into the 4-drop baby and then goes into another Dr. Mew. 2 graceful charities, 2 turns in a row. Why am I not surprised? So here he swings with his leader, but again, the deck goes off on turn 3. Turn 2, if you have the 6-drop ape, but obviously he didn't have it, so we go into our turn. We charge an ape. We can't afford to not have energy open at the moment, so even if I'm drawing into multicolor, I either want to keep it because it's a Beerus or because I just want to make sure I have ways to answer his stuff. We topo his turn 3 swing, and then on our turn we aggro out. And aggro out, I mean basically swing with topo, swing with our leader, and then let him have it. On his turn, he goes ahead and Bardock Overwhelms to draw a couple of cards, so he's obviously digging for something. He then swings with his Bardock, to which we Nimbus. We want to make sure we kill the turn right there. And then when he swings with his leader, we bring out Raider's Warcry to protect our life and be able to apply more pressure. If we can get him to a low life total, that's really big for us. So, once again, we aggro out and we leave ourselves with a lot of energy to be able to defend. He goes into the 6-drop ape, which honestly in this matchup is way more annoying to deal with than the combo ape. And by combo ape, I do mean the 7-drop. Because the 7-drop, you kill it, you deal with it, it's fine. This one, he's procking my cards away while I'm killing it. I'm not really super happy about that. So we Beerus his 6-drop, but turns out he was just baiting us wanting to do that because it allowed him to go into his 8-drop, which brings out his Super Baby 2. So now he's able to neg my leader down to like -5, and now he just has a bunch of weenies that he's able to swing with because he finds his third Dr. Mew. And even though he didn't go with the 7-drop, he still managed to put me at a point where I didn't have a lot of hand size and I just wasn't able to protect against all those swings, especially on top of him having Heartfelt Plea with a pan. So we end up negating his board of all skills, but regardless, he has too many attacks for us to appropriately defend, and so we take an L on that one. Thankfully, not official for the tournament, but still, in terms of getting better with the deck and making sure we have the matchups prepared, it's still not great. So round 3 comes up and we're up against Miles, who's on Surge Broly. We lose the dice roll. Shocker. So here we just swing out pitching ape for draws later on in the turn. Turn 2, we charge Deadly Poison. Great, now we have early access to blue. And we have Crit Beers going in for the swings. At this point, he's not really attacking my leader, so he's going for Beerus. 1, keep the board clean. 2, he really doesn't want to give me cards and nor make my activate mains on my Awakened side active, so he's just going to try and avoid that to the best of his abilities. So we protect Beerus and he passes. And then we go back and forth a bit. I swing with my Beerus, swing with my leader. He protects himself, draws cards. He charges, tries to kill Beerus. We protect it, and then it goes back and forth like this. At this point, we want to pressure with the ape, to which he Vegeta the Cruels. I try and denial it, and then on window 2, he exploiting weaknesses. So he wipes my board regardless. Ouch. At this point, we awaken just to make sure that we have energy up for Kaioken in case he comes down. We don't want to just auto lose to that. But he swings on his turn, to which we topo. So that's cool. We just end his turn there, and we have an extra body to go up. When we swing in, he brings out the 30k Broly. This is super annoying because our deck is very reliant on the combo step. So this Broly shuts down our game plan hard. So we Deadly Poison it, and then we combo to our rival Beerus and kill it. On his next turn, he brings out Kaioken, and he rips our hand going to 1. I think we're fine since we have a really high life total. He's not going to be able to kill us with just the Kaioken and what he's got on board because his hand size is actually relatively small right now. So we take the 3 and then he swings into Beerus to kill it. On our turn, I opt to not do much, and honestly that was probably a mistake. Mostly because, and that might have been a mistake, but it's really tough call to make because his Broly shuts down our arrivals, which means that we can't cheat stuff in, and I don't want to not have energy for the defense on our turn if we can't manage to kill him. So, unfortunately, we just end up swinging off and then passing. And then I combo away Beerus on one of his swings. Because one, not only is it enough combo to actually protect from the attack, but I also wanted him to get Beerus to go to the drop so that I can actually combo in the ape to rest his big Broly, draw a card. And had that happen, we were probably okay to defend for his double strike with 1 life left. That wasn't the case. He opts to not fall for the bait, so I know I just can't use Bardock at this point regardless. So he swings with his 30k. It's too much combo for us to deal with. We take, putting us at double strike range, and then he takes us out with double strike on his leader. And that was it. We ended up officially going 2-1, but realistically, in terms of the games we played today, we didn't really win any of them. And this is where I'm kind of at with it. Like I said, I do believe part of it's my play style. I think I'm not adapting properly to the different ways people are playing against me. I think against Janemba I did well. I think if my draws were slightly stronger in terms of being able to go aggressive, we'd be okay. And I do think the upgrades we're making to the deck will help a lot. Things like the 1-drop Broly, having the 4th Beerus in our deck, having another Exploding Weakness, all these things will add on to make us stronger. However, I do think as a pilot I need to adapt and make some stronger decisions moving forward. And that's what we're going to try and do. We're going to do our best because big tournaments are coming up soon. And if we want to make sure that we follow through with our dream to making it to Worlds, we're going to have to take down some regionals. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one.